Hello, my name is Kevin Schusler with Command Light. Today we're going to be showing you how to replace the mid-plate section of the night light model light tower. The main reasons for having to replace this, one would be an impact on the tower, which generally can break a spindle in here, a damaged slip ring. There's also the rotation motor in here, but that is a separate replacement that can be done without having to go through this procedure. Inside of here is our slip ring, and basically this allows the tower to do a continuous 360-degree rotation. It does have its wire leads both up into the tree and then down below into these lift arms. To do this repair, these are the basic tools you will need right here. You don't need a battery-powered screwdriver, but you're going to be undoing a lot of wire connections. It does help. You will need a small flat blade screwdriver, one of the Command Light ones, works perfectly. You'll need a Phillips screwdriver, either an electric or a manual one. Socket extension helps a lot. You'll need a 1/2 inch and a 7/16 SAE socket. Rubber mallet or a softer mallet, a good steel mallet, a pry bar, some type of a little wooden block for tightening the belt on that, a pair of wire ties, some type of a soft punch or thing to knock the pins through on it. Just anything brass will work. A very small fine tipped Sharpie is nice for referencing your center. Those are basically the tools you'll need to do this. A few wire ties do not hurt either. So the first thing you'll want to do when you're doing one of these, and I have lowered this one down to kind of simulate what it would be on a truck, would be to remove all of these covers. I have taken some of the screws out just to make this a little more speedy. Then after you get Okay, once you've got all of those screws out, you can go ahead and remove the 2 side covers and then the wrap. This will expose your mid plate. Here's your slip ring, rotation motors up in here. The wires go up above and down below. Now what you'll want to do before you kill your power, start unhooking the wires, is go ahead and put this lamp tree in the best position for you to remove it. We'll be removing these 4 bolts right here, and then the whole lamp tree will slide off a couple of blocks, and that will expose all the wire and allow you to remove that mid plate. So what you want to do is get that over into a position where you can remove the lamp tree, and then I like to bring mine down so it's a nice easy slide in and out on the lamp tree. This point here too, I will generally remove this over center bar. Okay, that looks like a pretty good position for me. I'll be able to remove this quite easily. So now I'm going to go ahead and kill power to this tower. Just draining the capacitor there. Then you can either use one of the small bladed Command Light screwdrivers, or just for this sake of speed, I'm just using a small number 1 straight bit here. What you'll want to be doing on these, up in here you will see the wires. The lower ones are the ones running into your slip ring. Those are the ones that we're going to disconnect. Basically just by removing these wires, undoing these blocks, you will loosen all of these wires up. And then you'll have to do the green, white, and green, black above. That's your upper actuator. So once you've got those all loose, you can go ahead and pull all of those out. What's that? Once you've got all these lower ones removed, and then the two actuators and the upper ones from the slip ring, all that are left are the ones running up to your Lamprey, basically. You'll also have to go ahead and remove these wires here, which are your slip ring up to your lamps. Okay, once you've got all of these unhooked, the two green, white, green, black up above, and then all of the lower wires, you want to go ahead and actually remove your lamp wires. These will be coming up in a harness here. It'll be black, red, blue, white, gray, yellow. They may be a wire tie in there too, so just go ahead and cut that. That'll free these wires up. And again, you're just going to be undoing these lower junction blocks. You only have to do it on the black, the red, this is not a very good screwdriver bit. I'll just do it with the hand bit here. The blue, the white, the gray, and the yellow, and then there's a green right next to it. There's actually two greens, but they're jumpered together, so there's only one wire coming in. That will remove all of your lamp wires, and that basically frees up your slip ring. Once the Lamprey's done, then you're going to go ahead and remove the slip ring wires coming down through here. A little easier to tell. The wires here, they are divided into AC for the lamps and then DC for motion or whatever. If you would happen to have a DC tree, the wires will be the same, there will just be less of them. They'll be in a little different position. Always a good idea on your original tower to just go ahead and take a quick picture of where all of these wires are. It'll help you a bunch when you go to reassemble it. So again, we will just go ahead and loosen these blocks. That's all your lamps. White, black is center. Brown, white is rotation motor. Red, white is rotation motor. Green, black is upper actuator. Green, white is upper actuator. Blue, white is your strobe power. Orange would be backlight option power. Yellow, black is backlight home signal. Purple and yellow are the down limit switch. And green is your ground and your 12 volt regulator. Okay, now that this mid plate is completely free electrically, we'll go ahead and get it out of there manually. Now I'll be up above. Now we'll go ahead and physically remove the Lamprey. There are 4 of these 5, 16, 18 bolts here, a 1/2 inch socket. We'll go ahead and remove these. There will be a little drop in there, but it won't go anywhere on you. Once you get that front one done, it takes the pressure off of these rear bolts. Then again, on the back side, there will be the other 2 of these. Sometimes I put a little weight up on it. You can make that a little easier of a drive out for you. Okay, All right, now the Lamprey is completely unbolted. At this point here, you can kind of watch these wires as you go ahead and slide this off just to make sure they aren't catching on anything. You'll usually be able to fill it. Slide your Lamprey straight out and away. Okay, this will free up your upper actuator and the two tilt mount blocks here. So these are just held in by the Lamprey itself. Go ahead and remove those. And then since you will probably be reusing this actuator, you can go ahead and remove it at this point. Just go ahead and you can just take the wire guides off of this pin, remove the pin. And down here there are 4, or actually 6, of these little Eclips that hold this pin in, keep that actuator centered up in there. These just going in with a small flat blade screwdriver. You can go ahead and pry those loose. Just a point of note, these things love to shoot completely across the shop. They're almost impossible to find. So try and keep a little bit of a handle on them. And try not to shoot yourself in the eye with one if you can help it too. Sometimes flipping the actuator up will give you a little better access to these. There went one. Once you have at least 5 of those removed, you can leave the last one on and just go ahead and pull your pin out. This completely frees your actuator. Okay, that's completely removed the upper portion of this. Now what you'll want to do is you're going to go ahead and remove the actual mid plate. Again, this pin here and this pin here are all that's really holding this on here. Again, each of these has a one of the C-clips on it. You only need to remove one side. Okay, once those are free, using a mallet and then a brass punch, something soft, you'll go ahead and drive first your stabilizer pin. Okay, this one's actually being a little bit tough getting out. If you run into this, what you can do is over here on this back side, there are a couple of blocks here. By loosening these up just a little bit, it allows those blocks to maneuver just a bit. And that will help a lot. Underneath are the other ones for these other sides. You don't have to take these out, just by loosening them up will allow these blocks to float a little bit, and that helps get that pin out. Much better. Okay, this side is actually completely free, so you'll go ahead and drive it through the inner one. Then usually at that point you can pull it out. Okay, once you're completely free, that's why I like to leave that punch in there. Now this pin is not holding anything, it's basically just my punch. Holding the lower or the back portion of that mid plate on. Then you'll just go ahead, lift it up, remove it. I should do that. That didn't look very good. Then you'll go ahead and just remove that drift punch from here. Hold the stabilizer or it will fall on you. Go ahead and set him into the base. Now all yours left is this upper one onto the lift arm here. These aren't quite as bad as the rear because there's only 2 big blocks instead of 4 little ones, so there's generally less pressure on them. If you do run into some, again, you could loosen these up, but I generally find not. Okay, as soon as I get this through, again, keep driving your punch completely in. That should be far enough. Where I'll pull this out. This will come free as soon as that pin is out, so be ready for that. And there's your mid plate. It's off. I'm going to actually use the same one that I just took off. This would be exactly how a new mid plate will come. One thing of note, the side covers and the 2 top covers on this generally will not ship with your new part. So if you have damaged those or if they've been damaged, please let us know when you order this. We will send them, but you can reuse the other ones on this one that you'll be getting as a replacement. It's basically the exact same thing as removing it. So we will start by replacing the mid plate. Again, start up here at the top, and what I do is I'll get this started through, line it up with my bushings, go ahead and get it in there. Now that will hold the weight of that. Little different here, I prefer to use some kind of a softer mallet to drive my pin through. Okay, you may see that too where you start to push that bushing out. If that happens, go ahead. Drive that back in flush, and then just with your small screwdriver or whatever and your steel mallet, just go ahead and make a couple of little peens. That'll kind of fold that little bit of that aluminum in on that bushing and hold it in place a little better for you. Like so. And I always go ahead and replace the Eclip. You can do this a couple of ways. Usually by tapping it. A pair of pliers, needle nose pliers, and nut driver works really good. Just anything you can drive that down on there. Okay, with that in place, we'll go ahead and replace our stabilizer pin to our stabilizer arm. This one you'll go ahead and just bring the stabilizer up. And again, I like to start this in here. One note on this pin here, there are 2 washers. They go between the stabilizer arm and this mid plate. So go ahead and get your first one on, a little ways through. Go ahead and rock this up. If you don't drop this washer at least twice, you're not doing it quite right. Once you've got that through, now this is held. Again, if these blocks are not loose and you're having trouble with it, go ahead and loosen those up a little bit. Drive that through with your soft mallet. And when I get it most of the way through, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and pull that stabilizer. I actually probably took this one through a little too far. back him up just a little bit. Usually it'll push that stabilizer out. And what you want is just enough of that pin to be sticking out for you to get that washer in there, and then you can go ahead and drive it through. This one's being cantankerous. There we go. Okay, now I've got a little bit of that pin through. Go ahead and pop that stabilizer off. Now my washer's in. Now I can go ahead and drive it home. Okay, again, get your Eclip back on. This is where any type of a pair of pliers or even one of the other pins works good. That'll just seat your clip into there. Okay, now my mid plate is completely replaced. Now the next thing you want to do is to replace your upper actuator. Again, he'll just go in there with the six clip. Once you've got these through, it's usually a little easier to go ahead and try and get some of your clips back on. So I'll go ahead, place my outer clip back. And drive him through the rest of the way. Then I'll be able to get my remaining 3 clips in there. The other ones, just replace those in. Again, your 2 Lamprey pins make very good pin setters. Okay, actuator is firmly in, locked into the middle. Now what you want to do is go ahead and route your wires. Go ahead and get this Lamprey pin in. Get him kind of centered. Make sure your wires are nice and free on this one. You go ahead and route these up. Then you'll take your last pin. You'll just go through the actuator. And then you'll take your 2 wire guides. These go with the tab to the back or facing the actuator, and just slide on each side. You'll go ahead and route your wires the same one. The wires on this side will go through this wire guide. These will go through this way. And then your actuator will go through as well. Okay, once you've got all of these in, then it's time to go ahead and put your tilt blocks back on. Make sure that the bolt holes are to the top. You do it on the bottom, you'll be backtracking. Then you'll just go ahead and raise your actuator up high enough where you can line it up with that hole. Once you got one side on, it pretty much holds itself. Then you'll go ahead and replace the second tilt block. Let's go ahead and kind of center the pins up in there. Make sure your wires are all nice and free, nothing's pinched there. Then we'll go ahead and replace the Lamprey. Again, just grabbing it down here on one of the cross member bars. Go ahead. And then once you got it started on there, just kind of hold your wires down and slide it back until you see your bolt holes there. This is another good reason for this to be kind of at a horizontal position. Not only is it easier to slide off, but you can leave it as you're putting these bolts back in. I'll generally try and get to the back side first. It's a little closer usually. Everything will wiggle and slide around on you a bit, though, I guarantee it. And this tree will rock a little bit, so you can line your holes up with that. Don't be afraid to manhandle it a little bit. Okay, once I get those in, I will go ahead and just start them in just to make sure I'm not cross-threaded. Nice. Okay, we're good on those two. Then we'll just go ahead and replace the other two. These ones should line up real easy, and then it's just a matter. And don't be afraid to get your shoulder in there, kind of move this thing around. Trying to do everything with your hands is very tiring. So now I've got all of these. Go ahead and snug those down. Another thing I didn't mention, if you're on top of a truck, you've got a real short edge over here, don't be afraid to move this Lamprey around to any position where you have the most room to slide it on and off. Okay, structurally, with the exception of all the covers on it, this light is reassembled. I go back to my 7/16, not forgetting that I have loosened these bolts here. Go ahead and snug those up. Okay, now it's reassembled. Now all we have to do is redo the wiring, tighten the rotation motor, and adjust center. So now we're going to go ahead and rehook up all of our electrical. As you can see here, the bottom half will still be attached. So really all you have to do is match these up color for color with your existing wires. But again, if you're not sure or comfortable with that, you can always just snap a picture before you remove the original. So we're going to start at the bottom block, which will be the lower, the furthest back set of wires here. So they go orange, yellow, black, purple. And these will just drop into these little slots on these blocks. Just make sure that they go down in there nice and good, nice and tight, and then give them a little tug to make sure they're in there good. So next is yellow black. The brown white actually has a double connector in on it, and or double wire conductors coming in. And what that does, that's just power off of this mercury switch. So there will be nothing matching up across from it. It's already hooked just on that one side of the block. Okay, back row's done. Now we'll go to the front row. They go white, black, brown, and then red with a white stripe. Okay, DC harness is all hooked up. Now we'll hook up our AC lamp wires, and they just go same thing. The blocks are actually colored for these, so it'll go black, red, blue, white, gray, yellow. And these are a lot easier to do if you kind of straddle the light. I just did not want to block the camera view on these. These are all hooked up now. That's the lower end of your slip ring wires all tied in there. These can just get tucked up. If you have a wire tie, you can kind of tie these up to clean it up a little bit. And then we'll just replace that cover at the end of it here. Now we'll go ahead and do the upper portion of this. Little trick to doing these up here that I find real helpful. This one's kind of a little bit different. Two of the wires actually go up above instead of all of the ones down below, and that's just the upper actuator wires. That's just so I can put the connectors for the wire on the bottom side of that. So we'll put those in as green black to the green black block. And then green white to the green white block. Okay, then the actuator wires on the colors on this are actually different. So you got a gray and a black. Couldn't be easy to green black to black. It's actually green black to gray, and then green white to the black wire. These are a little bit trickier to get in because that actuator's right there. Okay, now the little trick, just make sure you do not hit any of your lamp switch buttons, and these wires are not touching each other, just as a precautionary. But what you can do is go ahead and repower your light up. Activate your controller. And now since we have the upper actuator hooked up, we can go ahead and raise that. Makes it a lot easier to hook the rest of those wires up. Then go ahead and kill your power again and just drain your capacitor. It'll just move a little twitch and then that's over with. At this point we'll be coming in from the bottom side of this, and you can kind of tuck those actuator wires around a little bit, push them back through that wire guide just to get those out of your way while you hook the rest of them up. Again, these will just go color for color down below here. So we'll have blue, white, orange, yellow, black, and then a solid green. Because I've got this up pretty high, I'll go ahead and repower, again making sure none of these wires are touching and I don't hit the any of the lamp buttons. Activate my controller. Now I can bring my lower stage down. And feel free to position these wherever they want. One thing about this, the new mid plate will not have the rotation motor tightened on it, so if you need to move this tree around, you can definitely do that to make it a little more accessible. So you'll take your upper harness, go ahead and kill your power again. Go ahead and route him up through this oval in the tree. Then up to the second oval. And your ground, your big green ground wire should still be up there. Okay, again, these will just all hook in color for color, black, red, blue, white, gray, yellow, and then the single green to the jumper 2 green blocks. Okay, we can stop there. the belt, what you'll do is just bring this up to a comfortable level. You'll be wanting to use some type of a wooden block or something to disperse the force of you prying the motor over. Go ahead and bring your Lamprey down as far as you can. This will bring the two sprockets as close as they are together, so you'll be setting the belt as tight as you can on it. Basically, there's 3 screws here in slots. They will slide back and forth, and that's how you will adjust your rotation motor. This one's going to be a little weird because it's on a rolling table and shifts around on me. But you know, get in there and don't be afraid. You can put your hip on that thing and pry against it, whatever it can. Just make sure you get that nice and tight as you possibly can, and don't be afraid to crank on it. Then once you get one of those screws in nice and tight, it will go ahead and hold itself. Then go ahead and just tighten your other one down. Then you may have to rotate a little bit to get to your third one there. Nice and tight. That's what you're looking for. At that point, you're really about done with the mid-plate replacement. Go ahead and replace all of your covers all the way around on the light tower, and then go ahead and do it through an auto park sequence once. And what you'll want to be watching for here is your center positioning. So we always set center with the Lamprey at about a halfway point, rotate it off center. Go ahead and hit your auto park. That'll pick up your center. At about this point here, I'll go ahead and stop it, and then just manually bring that upper stage down. I did lose my center. Nope, I still have it. So if you hit emergency stop, you have to reactivate your controller. Go ahead and just bring that down manually and just kind of take a quick look at it. That one was right on. You'll get lucky. If it doesn't, what you'll want to do is on the underside of this mid plate here, there is a cam. This little switch here is what picks up your center. What I do is I make a couple of little marks on each side of that cam, and you'll want to move the cam in the direction the Lamprey hits. So if my Lamprey's hitting over to this side, I'll move that cam this way. A little goes a long way on these adjustments. That's why I make the reference marks, and then you'll see you moved it a little bit, and then you just keep doing that back and forth, whatever it takes. If you can get it to drop straight in at the 45, that will handle the variance between clear back and in the street light. And that's about it. There is a video specifically on belt tightening and setting the center on that if you want something a little more specific than that. But anyway, any questions, please, as always, call 1-800-797-7974 and ask to speak with myself or Casey Conklin. We'll be happy to advise you, get you whatever you need. Thank you.